that the Chicana movement and the Berets were not
Immune.
immune to
Patriarchy, sexism, machismo.
machismo, yeah.
Machismo, yeah.
Estaba más machismo que ni nada los Berets.
Right.
Well, it's women. Yeah.
Yeah, I believe it.
It was bad.
This was for the ladies, racing all the babies. Mr. Big Strong Man won't step up to the plate. Limbs growing achy, crushed by the weight we sit with our saints and pray the pain away. Away, women who raised you to be who you be. Never alone even when you are down. Bringing you high as we rise from the ground. Electric like energy gifted by soul. Reach for the stars cause this is your world. Been on your own and you did it before. Premeditated greatness is in store. Here's to the women in the background. Never giving credit but you know they never back down. Here's to the women in the front blazing trails. Demanding our God-given right to prevail. Through all the tears and the blood we have shared. No other story can ever compare. Been through it all in the mental we've held. Our warrior spirit you better beware.
Cynthia Barajas has been a beret since the start of the beret's existence, and she's from the Casablanca community in Riverside. And like I said, she provides a lot of guidance to the younger berets of this time. Cynthia, if you want to introduce yourself, a small introduction of yourself, of anything that you want the people to know before we get into all the other questions.
Okay. Cynthia Barajas, brown beret from Casablanca. Chapter 46, and I'm 72 years old. I've been a beret for 55 years, going on 56 years, and I'm still active.
How do you feel today?
How do I feel?
Today.
I feel good. I feel good about everything I've done. You go into detail about how you first joined the Berets. Well, the place where I first joined was Riverside. I joined in Casablanca, really. And the year was 1968, and I was 14 years old. I was recruited. It was a decision that I made, but I was recruited in. I was recruited also a mecha from our RCC. The students talked to me because of what happened in school. It was very racist, so they encouraged me to join. They wanted me to join Mecha and start a Mecha at Ramona High School. But I said, I'll join the Berets in Casablanca.
What were the issues that your local chapter was involved in?
We were involved in a lot of police brutality, okay? We had a lot of incidents with police. We're very unjust with the people from our community. And we also had issues with like school, okay, like walkouts and stuff, okay? We fought for affirmative action, equal opportunity, to hire us Chicanos, more Chicanos. And we had a lot of racism, we had equality, we fought for civil rights also. And we fought the Nazis.
Yeah, that's right.
They called the Proud Boys, we called the Nazis. They would come into the town, and not just one, 2 times. They came a couple of times, instigated things.
What was the movimiento like then? What were the berets like then? When you talk about young organizers, it may be different for them today. So what was it like then? Kind of give us that feeling of what it was like then.
Well, when the berets started, that's why I got into the berets. It was like we all had the opportunity to have a voice. They would encourage us, the demonstrations and the protests. And we're confronted by a lot of injustice to our people. We all had a voice, the brown berets, the leaders and all that started recruiting. We were really united. We got really united. The clubs started getting out of the clubs and becoming berets. So we started united. We started getting really beautiful. We started fighting all together. And it wasn't like that before. The club did their thing, and then when the berets came along, the club, a lot of people got out of the clubs. We told them, the berets, we told them, if you're going to be in the brown berets, you can't be in a club. So they were willing to get out of the clubs, and I was amazed how many people got out. We all started fighting for the same thing because everybody was harassed in the barrio. It was just not 1 or 2 people. Everyone, especially our young people, and the young people. Everybody wanted to change. You know, we were gonna make a change. Let's put it like that.
That's right.
That's how united we got. We were treated unfairly. You know, it was like they brought in the schools the integration. Yeah, we went to the schools. We were segregated. We were Chicanos on one side and the white people. Our lockers were on one side and the white people. They separated us all the time. We were always separated since we got out of our Casablanca school. I went to a Casablanca school where all Mexican Americans and black attended the school. Once the integration came in and the busing and all that, it's like took us to different schools, and it's like, wow, really, you know, we never really been around white people. It was something new. It was kind of to us, it was kind of odd and scary, you know.
Yeah.
We didn't know what to expect. Well, the same with, you know, the walkouts. When we got to high school, it was still the same racism, you know, the separation, you know. We're supposed to be integrated, not even. The white people, the white kids didn't like us. They looked down at us. Yeah, they all looked down at us.
Yeah.
You know, even since we got out, since we left the Casablanca school, when they integrated us, it's like they looked down at us really bad. They started calling us names, you know, wetback, you know, dirty Mexicans, beaners, you know, you name it. When they call us, you know, if we go in the restroom, it was like they would push us out, like, you know, like if we had cooties or something, you know. It was bad. It was really humiliating when we went to school. So even in high school, what happened in high school, we had riots, you know, and we had walkouts. We had it. When the walkouts came, we had enough. Enough is enough. We all got together. Mechas from UCR and RCC, they all got together and went into the school. They knew there was problems, especially at Ramona High School where the riot started. It's just really bad.
So what do you know about the Chicana movement?
So, from my perspective, the Chicana movement was inspired by other movements like the Black Panthers that wanted equal rights and to fight against the discrimination towards them. And even though these movements sought out for justice, the Chicana women also sought out to fight for the same thing in their own communities. Women played a role yet often overlooked in the Chicana movement, navigating a complex intersection of racial and gender struggles. While the movement sought to uplift Mexican Americans, many Chicana activists found themselves fighting a dual battle against systematic racism in society and sexism within their own communities. These tensions led to Chicana feminism, a movement that sought out to redefine the role of women with a broader fight for civil rights.
Do you feel like any connection to it, or are you still kind of like learning your own, like where you fit in activism and roles in like your identity?
I actually do feel like I'm more connected to it because, like I said, I have a cousin that used to be proud of the Brown Berets, and to know that some of my family was part of that history, you know, it makes me want to be a part of that as well, and also teach the history to generations, you know, like my younger cousins, and you know, just getting to be more in touch with my indigenous parts.
Many Latinx and Chicanx women have to consistently battle things such as machismo and marianismo.
So marianismo is just kind of a guideline behavior for Latinx women on how to behave and how to be subservient to men, or how to play what their role is in terms of like machismo and like the Hispanic patriarchy, if you will. It's rooted in Catholicism, and it's just how close you can get to the Virgin Mary, because the Virgin Mary in the Catholic religion is seen as being the perfect woman, or woman. She doesn't have sex, she gets pregnant, she gives birth to Jesus Christ. So the idea is just being what your role is in terms of machismo, like as a woman. And yeah, that's what Marianismo is.
How do you battle these ideologies in your everyday life?
Um, I think that's a very good question, but I think for the most part, at least I try, to catch it on the spot, like when people, even like when people will make jokes like that are like sexist and whatever, and I'm like,
Right.
they're like, I'm just joking, and I'm like, I don't give a shit if it's a joke, like it's still
It
sexist, like
actually wasn't a joke. You meant it.
yeah, like, and it's like, no, a lot of the times people use jokes as ways to evade responsibility and accountability. Like you just throw a JK in front of or behind anything then, and then you're in the clear. Like, no, that's not how it
Right.
works.
Right.
Right. And so, yeah, I think a lot of I end up getting into like a lot of arguments, I think, with people, particularly men, when I challenge their crap. But
Right.
I think it's something that I also catch among like women, among um
Right.
women and non-binary folks too, like where I'm just like, you realize that what you're doing is like problematic or like some internalized sexist shit, right now that you're
Right.
doing
Yeah.
there. And so we have a conversation, we talk about it. And I think that's what I try to do, at least in most instances, when I think the person is gonna listen. But then
Right.
battle fatigue is another thing. And
Mm.
I also had to decide to pick and choose my battles, right? If I think that
Right.
I'm never going to see this person again, or this person is just like very problematic in general, or they have some position of power over me, then I may not necessarily say something or like address it as
Right.
explicitly as I would like to in the moment. But at least in general, I try to address it and have a conversation about it. And if not, then, try to stay away or steer away from that person or people.
Right.
But yeah.
You guys feel like machismo has played like a role in like things like you guys feel like you guys are put into like this box of like I have to be like holier than thou, or like I'm gonna be shamed by my community or my family, or like how's that been for you?
I think like now, like I've really embraced being like a loud brown girl. Like, cause like I feel like, cause I feel like snapping, cause I feel like for a very long time, like when I was like dating men, and like I really wanted to be seen as like Marianismo. I don't give a fuck if I'm too much. Like I kind of don't care, because it's like the system of like machismo is like just like the Hispanic version, or like the Latino version of the patriarchy, and it's like I'm not like, I never want to be in a position again where like I allow like machismo to like run my life. I've always been very like vocal about like machismo and like talking about it and calling it out within like family and stuff, and that has always like really like not voted over well.
Can you provide like an example, maybe like?
Yeah, so like my mom and like my grandma were very like, they're very interesting, I would say, because like they really do align with like a lot of machismo tendencies, but like my grandma and my mother are very like independent women, and like they like migrated here from like El Salvador from the Civil War. Like they've like been, my grandma's been divorced twice, like she raised 3 kids, so it's like, but like then I was like hearing things like, oh, like, well, you have to learn how to cook for a man, like to clean for a man, like no man is gonna want you if you don't know how to do these things. And I had 2 like brothers, and so like a lot of the cleaning and like learning how to cook like fell on me. But like with my grandfather too, like he's very like have like my food at the table by the time I get home, and like it like never like, and then my grandma would clean up after like 4 adult grown like men, and I would like be like that's like bullshit. Like she was sick, like she had cancer, and it's like the fact that you still expect her to have like dinner for you on the table is like ridiculous. And that's then like crazy. Yeah.
Like I have experience with my dad, and I'm just like, our mom was like, oh, I need to do something for your dad. I'm like, well, why? He has 2 hands, he can do the exact same thing. And she's like, well, that's my husband. I'm like, no, but like he can do it himself. Like, what do you mean he can make himself a sandwich? Like, you need to make it. Or like, I don't mind doing it, but it's just like, it's the fact that like you can do it. And then it's like my dad's like, oh, well, like I've heard, like I grew up kind of like toxic-ish, or like I've heard my dad tell my mom like, well, I make more money than you, and this is like, and I was just like, and it broke me seeing my mom that way, and how she would feel like my dad was always putting like gender roles, and like that shouldn't be. Like my mom was hard work, my mom works really hard, she works 2 jobs, my dad works 1, So I
On
just
top of being a mother.
on top of being a mother. So like my mom, like she'll come home at 11 o'clock and at night, and she needs to cook and she needs to clean. So it's just like, what?
And that's unpaid.
Yeah, and that's unpaid for. I feel like it goes unseen. Or like, oh, queremos carne asada, but my mom has to make all the fixings. She has to season the meat while the man is just like over here just.
And they get all the credit.
Yes.
They get all the credit.
And I'm just like, no, women can do it too. Or like, I'll tell my dad, I'm like, no, I can do it. Like, why do I need a man? Like, and he's like, or like, I always be, I want to make more money than a man. Like, I'm like, I always want to make more money than a man. And he's like, no, you can't. And I'm like, what do you mean I can't? I'm like, I will.
They didn't tell us women too much. And for me being a lieutenant or officer, you know, I was the first woman to become a leader with the Brown Berets here in the NNA Empire, you know.
Right.
And I think anywhere. And they left me out of a lot. I know that I would attend some meetings, but some of them I wasn't allowed to, and I wondered why, you know. I'm an officer. And I fought that. And I told them, you know what, it's contradicting us, you know what, because you have no faith, or you have no, you don't have, us women, you have no faith in us women that, you know, we are women and we're warriors. We're soldadas. We fight as much as you. We have knowledge just as much as you men. And we do more work than you men do. I'm going to be honest with you right now. We do more work than you do.
The Latinx and Chicanx community has a history of anti-Blackness. What are some things that you think that can be done to eradicate this ideology that can be done through the Chicanx/Latinx feminist movement?
I think what really gets at the key of all of it is just abolition. Like you have to get rid of these structures entirely, because that's where the ideologies come from. They come from, you know, colonialism, the anti-Blackness, anti-queerness, family, all of it can be traced back to like colonialism, right?
Yeah.
So I feel like that's really what we need to like abolish and get rid of, is just like the colonial structures that are currently in place, the current government structures that are currently in place, and just restructure everything.
Right.
How realistic that is, I don't know. Maybe not all women be right, but little by little, I think our best approach would be, you know, to try to get rid of these problematic structures. Because as long as they're still in place, like there's, you know, we're going to continue to have issues. Like, I don't think reform is really a solid option.
Be like anti-Blackness too.
Have y'all experienced? I mean,
the only thing I live next to racist neighbors, but I mean,
or like, does anyone have like family members? Like,
yeah, my sister is Black.
Okay.
Like, yeah, my sister and my niece are Black. Sorry, I'm talking.
No, it's okay.
But, they're like half like Latina, and like because like we have different dads.
They're like Afro Latinos.
Yeah, so like one of my sisters is white because my mom is white, Chicana, so that's just different. That's a side note, but it's like very interesting because like one of my sisters is like very white passing. My other sister is like Black, like Latinx, and so like my sister will tell me like, oh, like the amount of people that think it's safe to say something to me about Black people is crazy. And it's like also too, like I've noticed like in the community, like the amount of times that like I hear the N-word.
Oh yes.
Like I worked at a gas station, like all of these Mexicans are saying it, and I'm like, and I would always and I'm like, no, like we don't say that word. Like it's not for us to use. And then it's like, how come Black people can say it? I'm like, what do you mean?
That doesn't make any sense.
That
You're
doesn't.
Not Black.
You're not Black. Like
you
don't have like the generational trauma of like what slavery did to like a lot of Black people in this country, and it's taking power back like from the word, you know, like using it as as a term of endearment, like it's kind of like when women call like each other bitch or like whore or like slut, like it's not malicious, like no malicious intent, and it's like, but like when you say that word, it is malicious. But like the amount of like just like I'll tell people I have a Black sister, and they're like, your sister's Black? But you have a Black sister? And it's like, I do. Like, why is that so
amusing?
Weird? Why
like,
is that amusing
yeah.
or such a shocker? Or like, why is that like such a weird thing for you? And yeah, like the amount of like microaggressions like growing up, like my stepfather was like darker, like a darker complexion, and then my grandma would always like refer to him as like Indio, like always like come after him for being like Indian, and like or like being so dark.
Like colorism. The shades of brown vary in your families?
Yeah.
No, I'm really light. Our family's really light.
Okay.
But like I knew like growing up, like everybody's like, "Oh, you're too light to be Mexican," and I was like, "What do you mean?" They're like, "You're like you probably don't even speak Spanish." I'm like, "Well, I do," and I would like come out fluently because Spanish is my first language.
Yeah.
I'm an ESL learner, so and they're like, "Oh, like you're an ESL, like you don't even know this," or like they would just always pick on me. Oh, the hair on my arms, I would get picked on that too.
I'm proud of that
Yeah.
shit. I don't get
Okay.
shit keeps me warm.
Yeah.
Did you ever hear, since you said most of your family is kind of like on the lighter shade stuff brown, did you ever hear them say anything like about people who were like darker skinned?
Yes,
or, like...
but I think I just normalized it because I'm like, oh, we're Mexican. Like, that's just who we are. Like, it's like so normalized. So to me, it's just like, I wouldn't even defend people. I was just like, okay, well, yeah, like, I don't know.
are dark.
Yeah, I'm just like, well, you are morenito, you know, it's okay. But like, I would
Yeah.
always, like, even though like I normalized it, like, I never saw like me better than them. Like, oh, I'm like, everybody to me is equal. Like, I never saw anybody less than. But I think that really changed when I went to school in Redlands. And I remember this white girl had made a comment to her black friend, and she was like, "Oh, I didn't know black people got paid to work too." And I looked and I was like, "Oh my
And
god."
that was her friend?
Yeah.
That was her
and
friend?
there was girls that are like brown girls. There was brown girls that hated that they were black because they wanted to be white because I went to an all white school, and all the Mexican kids wanted to be white, and that's why they kind of like always talk shit about me in school. And like they would my first day of school, I sat in the back, and like the group of white girls, they were like laughing and they were pointing, they were like literally straight up pointing, mad dogging me, and I was like, what the fuck? And I was just like, I'm like, okay, I'm not ugly. Like, I was just like, I'm not ugly. Like, I said, I look clean. I am clean. And I was like, there's no reason why you should be pointing me out. And then I noticed, I looked at everybody, and it's like, I'm the fucking darkest one in the classroom. Everybody's white. And I was like, this is what it is. And I was like, oh, maybe it's a you problem. Or like, maybe it's just you. And like, everybody else is just trying to be nice to you. But it's the way you act. And I was like, the way I act? I was like, it was crazy.
Do you feel like that might have been like the first conscious moment that you had where you kind of saw yourself like you were
Like
like,
as
oh, I'm
brown.
different. Like,
Yeah, it was because I grew up in Rialto and Los Angeles and Riverside, so I'm like, I've always been surrounded by brown people, and like I was always like, oh yeah, that black person, that's my sister. Like, we're literally like twins, we're locked in. And I was just like, but then when I went to Redlands, it completely changed my perspective. Like, everybody was an outcast. If you were dark, you were outcasted. You didn't have friends. Like, I didn't have friends because of that. Or like supposedly my best friend for 12 plus years, she decided to go with her separate path with the white girls, and I'm just like, okay, well, it's just me. But
Just
yeah,
me out in the trenches.
but like when they needed help in Spanish, who would they come to? The little brown girl and sitting in the back of their classroom, like, oh, it's not funny anymore.
And were you like in Redlands still like very unapologetically Mexican? Because I know you mentioned earlier that you were like you weren't so much like embedded into like Chicana culture after like.
Oh yes, babe. I would wear my Jordans. I would wear my Dodger stuff. I was like super proud. I wore my botas to school. I did not care who saw me. My huaraches, I knew like my Mexican huaraches. I would get like stares with like this little brown girl wearing her huaraches, and I was like, yeah, bitch, I am. Like, what do you want?
And what you gonna do about it?
Yeah, like what are you gonna do
So
about
you
it?
never let it change you.
I absolutely not. I think that's what I stood out, and that's why I never made any friends in high school, because I moved there my sophomore year. I moved to Citrus Valley High School. I'm gonna name call everybody. I'm gonna name drop everybody. I moved there, and like I know I got accepted because they wanted more diversity.
How did you learn to navigate the traditional values while maintaining your own core values?
I mean, growing up, my mom was like that traditional mother of being at home and like not really working, which again would be fine if that was her choice, but like she had a lot of internalized like sexism, right? And what we call Marianismo, right? Of believing that that was her role and that was her purpose in life, was because she's a woman, and like that's what she was supposed to do, is be a mother, have children, take care of them, cook for them, clean for them, and same thing with all her sons. And that and I don't think she explicitly knows this or realizes it, but she definitely puts like more value onto men than women. And so I definitely battled with that a lot with her. And I think the way I resolved it was just like not messing with her anymore. It's just cutting her off, because it got to a point where we'd get into arguments, and she'd be like, what do you mean you're not gonna have children, right? Like, what do you mean?
Right.
you don't want children. Like that's, and she would tell me that's what you're supposed to do. And I'm like, no, that may be what you think you are supposed to do, but that's not what I'm going to do. It's interesting to see how we have so many contradictions, right? As human beings, that we
Right.
say one thing or act in one way in one area, but then completely act different in another area, or in,
Yeah.
like in the same realm or topic of area
Right.
specifically, right? In this
And
conversation
it,
about feminism, like we could be very feminine, or like at least my mother, I think, could be very feminist in some ways, but then like really like
like retract it with all this, let's say, makes,
problematic in another.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, makes it like everything she said was just retracted by something that like opposite or contradicting. Um, and I think that's like such a common phenomenon.
As a woman, a lot of guys, I get a lot of, because they don't really know that I'm a lesbian, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I'm not gonna get, mad at them right away, because they don't know that. But once I tell them that, it could either be very like
The switch up.
the switch up,
Yeah.
or it could be attractive to them or something, or
Like fetishize.
fetishize.
Oh God, yeah. No, like that happened to me at the club. Like being like a queer Latina, I feel like is like so like there's so many layers to it, because like the way like gay women are like fetishized, or like I feel like gay experience for women, it's like so layered being like a woman of color, but for like just like women, it's like never taken seriously. Like I'll tell someone I'm gay and they're like, well, like have you not had like good dick or something, or
I've got told that before. I got told a lot of things, and then, there's
and it's like
It's like
Oh,
vulgar.
wow.
It's
You're
so
like subjected to all this vulgar like objectification and like.
And I think it's because like so many women are like compact, or like they are gay and they just don't realize it. And like women can really operate like in like a straight marriage, because like I feel like a lot of women are already really unhappy in marriages, and so it's like adding something onto it really, I don't feel like makes a difference.
Or people think that the reason why some people think that reason why I'm gay is because I had a bad relationship with a man. Or it could be I'm a lesbian, and the reason why I'm a lesbian is because I hate men.
Yeah.
I don't hate men at all.
Yeah,
I
that
appreciate
part.
the men in my life, and
That
I'm
part.
not like anti-man or anything. Like, it has nothing to do with the men. It's
There's
just
a
my
big
attraction
stigma.
of women.
That part. And I think too, like it's so frustrating, like beyond frustrating, because like I'm always seen as like a man hater, like always, like no matter where I go, because I'm very like vocal and very like aggressive, and like I don't let shit slide. Like I really don't. Like I try not to, because like I don't want any man to think like their behavior around me or
It's
like
okay.
bashing other women
Yeah.
is acceptable, because it's not, and I'm not a safe person to come to or say that to.
What are some pieces of advice that you would tell a Chicanx or Latinx feminists to help them navigate their own personal journey through feminism and dealing with the patriarchy?
I think one of the biggest things for me as well, that I think I'd recommend for other people is, I think we often underestimate in general, like our own biases. And so I think it's much easier to catch it when other people do it and may not, and it's harder to catch it when, like we do it ourselves. And so I
Right.
think that's one of the biggest pieces of advice, because you can't control other people. And not to
Right.
say that that's not important to call it out and like try to address it when you can and you have the energy and you're in the position to do so, right? But at the very least, try to check ourselves, right?
Right.
Whether it be like through journaling or having conversations with other people that you like trust, that are going to keep you accountable and that are not just going to be your yes people, right? Or your yes
Right.
friends that are going to always be delusional with you, but
Right.
people that are going to keep you accountable, I think is probably
Yeah.
the best advice, is to make sure to try to have friends
I think,
around you that keep you
yeah.
accountable, and try to have like these different like systems in place for yourself, whether that's journaling, going to therapy, having conversations with your friends, or debriefing on conversations with your friends, so that you're checking yourself and you're having other people check you too.
And I feel that there's still a lot to do, because as Chicanos, we need more unity. And as brown berets, we also need more unity.
I'm glad that the younger generation is also getting into these movements as well. So yeah.
I would say like now I do. I feel
Okay.
like that's like an appropriate like term.
Can I ask you why now you identify like instead of like younger you?
Oh, I would say because I think like I didn't really know like what Chicana was or like Chicanx was, and like so I didn't really have like a good idea of it. And so like also like growing up, I feel like growing up, like I really just wanted like not to be white, but I wanted to like be like white adjacent. So
Okay,
like
you wanted to fit in.
Yeah, I wanted to fit in, and I felt like holding on to a title like that would like was not something I wanted to be associated with, but because I didn't like understand like the importance of it, you know.